This is Robert Quinn, and I'm here today at the Damon House in New Brunswick with Ileen, the Executive Director. Ileen, could you tell us a little bit about your role here at the Damon House?
Well, as Executive Director, my job is to oversee the entire organization. And so we have an administration, we have a residential program in New Brunswick, and we have an outpatient program in Patterson. And I have clinic directors and supervisors in each who report to me. And my job is to help get funding, to make sure we're following all of the rules and regulations of the state and the federal government, and to make sure that we have what we need for the clients here at Damon House.
Sure. What are the best ways to get you the funding that you need here?
Well, right now our funding comes through the government. In our residential program, our funding comes through the drug courts, which is the Administrative Office of the Courts, through the Department of Human Services, through the Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services, and we also receive some funding to help offset our food costs through social services and treatment. In our outpatient program, everything has been changed this year, so we receive the first person that pays would be anybody who is eligible for Medicaid. Will pay for outpatient and intensive outpatient services, and again the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services pays for those that do not qualify and do not have private insurance. And we also have a driving under the influence program up in Patterson, and we are going to be opening up. That's going to start down here also in residential. So our funding is generally through the government. We have yet to be able to really receive sizable funding through the private sector. It's an area we need help through corporations, private foundations. It's hard to break in when there's so many nonprofits out there, and that's an area we would really like to be able to start receiving funding from to help with the services, with our personnel, the facility. This is an old building. This is the old armory. So it was built in 1914. And we're licensed for 64 clients, so you can imagine the wear and tear on this building.
Right, right. And I was just about to ask you about the history here of the Damon House. So you were explaining to me earlier, I was hoping that maybe you could tell our audience a little more about that.
Sure. Damon House was incorporated in 1971. It originated in Patterson. Now we still have that outpatient programming up in Patterson. And in 1974, we opened up the residential down here in New Brunswick. And it's adult, it's male and female, and our outpatient is male and female also. And over the years, when we took this building over, the unions came in and helped work with the staff and the clients to redo this entire building. And since then, of course, there's different rules and codes we have to follow, and who can do what. So we really tried to keep it in as best shape as we can. Damon House has evolved over the years. It started out as a therapeutic community, affectionately known as a TC. And over the years, it's been modified, revamped, and what that means is we always dealt with the entire person. The buzzword has always been the biopsychosocial model. Since that time, we have also evolved into a high-intensity program, which is more involved. It's evolved further from the TC into a more, it's not the medical model, but we're getting closer to it because we have so many co-occurring clients, and therefore we have to have made some changes of how we deal with everything. And in a program like ours, what's very different maybe from the medical model is that in our program, in addition to the groups and the individual counseling sessions and seminars, the individuals who live here have to learn how to live every day. So they have vocational educational training opportunities on a daily basis. We have people who answer the phone. They've learned how to answer the phone and do the paperwork for anyone who comes in or out of the building. We have people who work under the services of the food service supervisor so they can learn how to cook, how to have a meal, how to prepare. We have people who are on the laundry crew who do the laundry. We have a maintenance crew, and actually it's our maintenance crew who learns how to clean their rooms, how to clean these common areas, if there's a problem, how to go appropriately through the system to have the problem resolved. And actually, we do have a staff member that hopefully you will be speaking to who can explain some more of that, because that she definitely specializes in all of this.
Thank you, Ileen. And you described to me earlier some of the challenges that some of our clients have when they come to the Damon House. Would you explain that to the audience that's listening?
Are we talking about the recovering staff versus the non-recovering staff?
How they they bottom out,
Okay.
and you best explain that and maybe make some comparisons
Sure.
that the audience would relate to.
Typically, when a client comes to Damon House, they have their addiction has started years and years ago. So if we have somebody who is here, they come in and they're 30 and their addiction began, they started using when they were 11 or 12, but their addiction started, say, at 15, that's who we're dealing with. So you may be looking at that 35 or 40-year-old or 30-year-old, but you're dealing with some adolescent issues that have to be tackled in order for that person to come through that process so that they can now mature and move forward. But the people who come have reached the bottom. They're at the bottom. And when you come here, you have to do two things. You cannot just want to have the help and commit yourself for the treatment that you need. You have to want it all the time, 24/7, because addiction does not go on vacation. It waits. It lies waiting so that you can relapse. So these individuals are literally crawling their way. It's like a black hole, whether it's depression, anxiety, addiction, a combination that's there. And and you almost have to walk around it every day. You have to learn how to navigate around it, and you can never lose sight of it, because if you do, you'll fall back into it. And what we have learned in this field are the tools that the clients learn through their treatment process here are the same tools that we use for any situation in one's life, whether you're a recovering addict or not, to grapple with life. For instance, the loss of a child, which is probably the most grievous thing one can undergo. It's the same process. It's the same feelings. And therefore, when you're doing this, whether you're a recovering staff member or a non-recovering staff member, you have different frames of reference to pull from to work with all of these clients and give it your best.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ileen.
Thank you.